Your beauty should not depend on the fluctuation of the world. 1 year is this makeup trend, the next year is this makeup trend, the next year is this makeup trend, the next year is this clothing trend, the next year you need these shoes. Nothing is stable. Please tell me what is stable with that. And if everything is always changing in the world, where do you get the chance to feel stable? And so what else except to just learn how to feel stable regardless of what's changing on the outside? Learn to challenge the beauty standard. I'm not just talking to the makeup community. I'm not just talking to the natural community. I'm talking to every human being that feels like the world should dictate how they view themselves. Do you allow the world to dictate how you view yourself? Do you allow the world to tell you how to dress, how you should do your makeup? Do you look like every other person out on the street? If you were in Miami, could you say, hey, she does her stuff like me? If that's you, then this video is also for you. All right, let's dig in. As always, I will be looking down because I have my hefty, defty notebook. Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Tegu Talks. And on this channel, I will be talking. So, if you didn't already figure it out, today's theme is beauty. Beauty standards. How you view your beauty. What does that look like? Now, I feel called to talk about this today because I just noticed that there is a level of trying to be beautiful without understanding beauty. And we are in a society where it could be a lot of beautiful women, but beauty within is lacking. And I want to talk about the lacking aspect because I don't feel like it's talked about enough. We see all the channels trying to tell you how to do what on the outside, but are we seeing a lot of channels telling you what to do on the inside? Because if I'm to see you, I should feel your presence, not just see your beauty. Okay? So, if it's a lot going on next to me, we have a bird feeder outside and my cats stalk the birds from the inside. But they act as if they can catch the birds on the inside, so it's a lot of racket going on, but I'm not going to move them from their space. So I just want to I would like to start this conversation off with be beautiful and potent. Beauty exists with emotion. True beauty has depth and can be felt. People can be beautiful but hold nothing because of their focus. It's okay to see a beautiful face, but I would like to start seeing a collective, a community of people who are beautiful inside and out. And for the people watching, I already know y'all are beautiful. But can we look deeper at being beautiful inside and out? Can we allow nature to be our reference as beauty, as authenticity, as being real? We are growing up with AI. And it's a lot of people that are trying to use AI, if I may, as controversial as this may be, because AI at the end of the day is artificial. So anything that you may see in the world that is artificial, that is what needs to be challenged. I rest my case.
You need to leave.
That's all I'm saying. Anything artificial that you see in the outside world, whether you put it on you or in you, challenge it. That's all I'm trying to say. So we're having this conversation on. So this conversation is going to be short and sweet. I really feel like a message that's clear doesn't have to be long. so I will not be here long. Ways to deepen beauty. This notebook gets kind of heavy. Okay, I'll put it back right on my knee. Ways to deepen beauty. Knowledge of self. First one, knowledge of self. Who are you? Because if you know who you are, the world cannot dictate who you are, and you can go deeper in who you are and realize that uniqueness. For example, my hairstyle. That would be something that I would say for me, because I know who I am and the creativity that exists. This was just done. I just stopped. I just didn't want my hair on my neck, and I just kept doing this little twisting, and it finally worked out to look like this. But when I hear from the outside, this is unique. I've never seen that before. It's beautiful. It looks like you. These are outside of like comments. The comments kind of just validate the understanding that we already have. But when you deepen your knowledge of self and you allow yourself to just be creative with what you feel like you want to do, how you feel like you want to look, it makes it specific. It makes it very targeted. You don't look like every other person. Therefore, that within itself is beautiful. And we can look at leaves, we can look at flowers that have their own, yes, it may be a part of the collective, but each specific leaf has its own uniqueness, and it can be pointed out as unique, because regardless of if it's in a community, this is still specific. Regardless if we see 10,000 leaves, all of those leaves don't look the same. It's specific, it's unique, it's beautiful. Another way to deepen beauty is self-assurance. Calm, collected, peaceful within who you are. You don't feel like you need to waver. Knowing who you are and then not wavering with who you are. Those are the two we're already at. You don't have to feel frantic because other things outside of you look different from what your vision is. You don't have to feel frantic because friends are choosing to dress this way and you're dressed another way. You don't have to feel uneasy, out of touch, because you don't look like everybody else. Because when you explore being able to just be alone, be solo in whatever thought that you have, it allows you more space to deepen it, understand it. And then when you understand it, you can work with it. And when you work with it, you begin to know it. And so your beauty should not depend on the fluctuation of the world. 1 year is this makeup trend, the next year is this makeup trend, the next year is this makeup trend, the next year is this clothing trend, the next year you need these shoes. Nothing is stable. Please tell me what is stable with that. And if everything is always changing in the world, where do you get the chance to feel stable? And so what else except to just learn how to feel stable regardless of what's changing on the outside? You are deserving of stability. You are also deserving of self-worth that doesn't have to change because of the outside. And when that is thought about, when that is internalized, when that is integrated into your daily life, your beauty stands out. Stand up! All right, next topic. Confidence. As we're already moving into being self-assured, be confident in that self-assurance. Be confident in the new ideas you're willing to try. When we balance this idea of this is new, let me contain it in to keep deepening it without having everybody else see it. But then at the same time, we don't want to be a perfectionist and never let anybody see it because we feel like it's not ready. And so with whatever unique ideas, whatever unique aspects of you that you are noticing, take your time with it, be mindful of it, go deeper with it, but don't also wait to show people it just because you don't feel like it's there yet. Does that make sense? Especially if you have the desire to share. Now, there's still discernment on who to share it with. Who can you trust to hold these with you? and make sure your baby's at a point where it's ready to be shared. Because at the same time, as we're being mindful of perfectionism, you also, when you pop your baby out the coochie, you're not just gonna have your baby out in Walmart. I culturally, I come from a culture that we don't do that. Your baby's fresh out, you need to be home with that baby. So, that being said, it's okay if you want to wait a little bit with the idea. Get consistent in it, do what you need to do with it, but don't not choose to share because of perfectionism. Don't not choose to do something different with who you are, with your character, with your want to start to see things differently and express things differently. Don't wait to share that if you feel that, because then again we get to the conversation of authenticity. Are you being real? If you know there are things you have to say, then say it. Beauty comes from the ability to be real. If you are real, God has made you beautiful already. So all you have to do is be real. All you have to do is not be on the side of artificial, and your beauty will stand out. So that being said, when you see things changing within you internally, and you recognize, I actually may not like when this happens. I don't like when I'm talked to like this. I have to be mindful of how I communicate with them, because in the past, I may have done things that triggered them. I need to change how I do. There are things that are going to be internally worked on, worked through daily. But as it's changing daily, be mindful and keep up with yourself to be real about the changes. And these can be conversations with people. If you're learning how to speak up for yourself because you shut down, the realistic conversation would be to friends and family, hey, this is what I'm working on. If it comes out not the best, please understand that I'm working on it. That's vulnerability, which also makes you beautiful. Vulnerability makes you beautiful. Doesn't make you. Vulnerability is an aspect of beauty. Because again, from the top, beauty exists with emotions. Your beauty exists with your emotions. And the more you can express that, and the more you can be vulnerable with them, the more people see your realness. All right, I'll move on. The spirit is moving. After confidence, I had vulnerability, and I hadn't even looked down yet. Well, I looked down for the beauty exists with emotion, but I didn't know vulnerability was the next thing. But vulnerability is the next thing. I don't have my sound bell. I feel like I'm getting loud enough on y'all anyway, so I think it's fine for today. But understand, I'll just start banging my just start banging my chest. I won't do that. But anyways, yes, vulnerability being an aspect of realness. This is something that is very hard personally for me, because when you grow up not seeing tears too often, especially as a woman, it's like, why do I need to do that in front of people? Because I do know they were happening, but it was never happening in front of people. But as I get older and I have a support system around me that holds me, I recognize, okay, one, it's safe to cry in front. Two, it's safe to communicate as to why I feel my heart is heavy. And three, I feel so much lighter. And I feel like I can do so much more after I express the way that I feel. And the way that I feel isn't about anybody else outside of me. When you're being vulnerable, it's how you're feeling about yourself, and you're sharing that to another person. Because let's actually talk about it. Vulnerability is not, they did this to me. Vulnerability is, I feel this way about myself. This is how I view myself in this struggle. This is how I view myself when it comes to God. Vulnerability is being able to tell, and this is why it becomes so, it has the ability to be weaponized, but it also is your ability to get deeper with yourself, because you are letting another person in to see where you struggle. And letting somebody in to see where you struggle only deepens that relationship with them, if they're healthy, because they can now see, as well as your community, where they can hold you better. but also it allows you to recognize within yourself and say it out loud what the problem is. And now it's not just in deep, it's just you and your shadow alone. Now it's you, your shadow, and somebody else that can hold you. You, your shadow, your inner child, and somebody else that can hold you. So, that being said, I shake my head because that, I think we talked about last. Eventually, I'll get to a point where I talk about the shadow and inner child and you, and that also being an aspect of the Holy Trinity. But we'll move this way. We'll keep that in the back pocket, but we'll move this way. So, your ability to share that and be real with yourself allows that to be experienced. And as it's experienced, as you get to know yourself better in that way, even if people don't know your story, they can feel your depth. Even if they don't know your story, they can feel your love because you're giving that to yourself. And I don't want to get on here because we hear self-love every day, but I can recognize that hearing self-love feels lacking. Like, oh, we hear that every day. But there's still truth to it. There's always truth in love. The message with Martin Luther King, the message with Bob Marley, like, just because people have played it out, just because people have infiltrated the message, doesn't make the message not true. And we also have to stop allowing people who infiltrate the messages be the main ones to turn us off from the message, because the message started with death. The message started with experience and wisdom. And just because it's getting to the point where it's sounding artificial doesn't take away that it's true. But there's also discernment. There's also discernment. There's also discernment.
Yeah, boy.
So, as I wrap this up very quickly, B for beauty, balance of spirit and emotions. Making sure we're staying in touch with our practices, making sure we're staying in touch with our Creator, and then also staying in touch with our emotions, how we're feeling throughout the day. Cultivating a community of people that we can be vulnerable with consistently. E, excitement for the little things. Smiling is so important. It's so important. And outside of men, having this thing of telling women to smile and that being the reason why we choose not to smile often, again, just because it's becoming artificial doesn't mean there's not truth to it. In the Gurudev practices, that as far as breath work, and Gurudev is a breathwork practitioner. He's cultivated a community of people all around the world that focus on breath, that focus on life. And as you're doing your breath work, you have to smile. As a dancer in belly dance, you have to smile. And smiling is not forceful. You'll hear people say, well, if I don't feel like smiling, I don't want to smile. That's fine. Don't. You're not being held at gunpoint at all. But also, if we're trying to get into the practice of beauty, when we're getting into the practice of holding oneself accountable, being real, being honest, being open, you'll notice you'll start to smile more, because smiling is not a punishment. And if we feel like smiling is a punishment, then that's something to go deeper on in general, because smiling is not a punishment. Life is beautiful. And when we get excited over the little things, we're excited because we're finally eating this lunch break. We're excited because we get to lay down. Excited over the small things builds gratitude. And the more gratitude comes, the more you feel high energy, high frequency. And the more high frequency you are, the more your beauty shines. Attitude is the next one. So again, if we feel like smiling is a punishment, what is our attitude looking like? Because we understand now that beauty is not just on the outside, it's from the inside. But if we're consistently dealing with an attitude itself is not the problem, it's where's the attitude going to? What's the energy? If I can recognize if I'm feeling a certain way, but I project that and I say something in a certain way, I have to take accountability for that. That's my attitude. They didn't do nothing to me. And even if they did, are they deserving of the attitude that's coming from it? Does that make sense? So it's still the consistency, self-control. Attitude is still based on self-control at the end of the day. And self-control is awareness of self consistently. It's not impossible to be aware of your actions consistently. It's not impossible. It's not. It's a practice, but it's not impossible. There may be blind spots, but if you're still curious about that, you'll get the answer eventually. It's you every day. It's only you and your body. And so, self-control with attitude comes with attitude. Next, utilizing your resources. Utilizing your resources. I think I brought this up in the last video, but this also I feel like is an aspect of vulnerability when I wrote that down. And I put utilizing your resources. I was thinking more of like your purpose. So like if you are to do something, then the physical aspect of utilizing your resources, but on the emotional side, this would still be utilizing your supports, utilizing your community for help when you need it, going back into that vulnerability. I don't want to repeat things too many times, so I'm just moving. T, trust of the divine and nature. Nature is your teacher. It shows us what is true. It shows us what it is to be beautiful, authentic. Nature is an aspect, the most perfect aspect of divinity. And so we can use that daily to see. Okay, why is yield? Yielding to having to control every situation. Because if you've ever seen somebody that has to control everything, they look frantic, always, consistently. Learn to surrender. Learn to just give yourself up. The frustration is going to come. It's going to come. It's going to be there. My partner's about to walk in, so it may get a little loud. Hey, babe. Perfectly. Back up. I'm literally right here. I'm almost done. Thank you, babe. So yes, if you've ever seen what that looks like to always need to be in control, it can be frantic. It can be a lot. And I say this as somebody dealing with surrendering more. The more you surrender, the easier life gets, the more your system is regulated, and the more you can just focus on being you. Because outside of surrendering, controlling is an aspect of you trying to be everybody else, be everything else, so that it could work in the way that you want it as a safety feature. But at the end of the day, if life is always going to turn out for the good of you, you don't have to control everything. You can just surrender. I want to give an example too. I want to grab my cat. Come here, Tinky. I want to give her as an example. If you see her, she has patterns. She has eyes. She has everything that she needs as a creature that she is made to be. And she is so beautiful. But she does nothing to have to make herself beautiful. She just is. And that, I think, is the lesson. When we say nature is a teacher, that is the lesson. She has done nothing to look like that. She has just been created like that. Her mama is black. Her daddy, I believe, was white and orange. And that's how she turned out. And she just bees. She has done nothing to look that way. And that is also the message for you. Outside of the majority internal work, we have consciousness, we have the ability to create on the outside, so we have to be mindful of the internal work. But on the outside, you don't have to do much. You don't have to do much. You are beautiful, and you are beauty. I thank y'all for listening. I hope you enjoyed today's video, and I will see y'all next time. Love you. Bye.